10 on Sports Central will be going over our final Power 5 schedule preview this offseason, and it will be over the Arizona Wildcats. And this is a team that went 4-8 in the 2019 season. And yep, Arizona was a bit of a down team last season. They were much better a few years back, but will they be able to make a bowl game? And how will they do in 2020 is what we're going to be going over here today. We're going to be going over a few players that this team will be losing, who they're going to be returning, and also going over their schedule for the first time this offseason. Starting off the games that Arizona has had since November. We start on November 2nd when they played Oregon State. They played them at home, and that was a big loss there, 38-56. They did get a good amount of points up against Oregon State in that game, but once again, when you allow 60 points, you can't really expect to win any game, no matter what it is. They lost to Oregon the next week on the road, 6-34. They also had a loss to Utah, 7-35. So you had two really tough games there in back-to-back weeks. And then they finished off the season at Arizona State, where there was a 10-point loss, 14-24. Arizona had a loss there. So yeah, November was a really tough month for Arizona. They went 0-4. Didn't get a single win in November, but other than that, I mean, they were 4-4 between September and October. So it certainly looked like they could have made a bowl game if they could have won a couple games there in November, but didn't really turn out that way. Once again, Arizona finished off the season at 4-8. Moving on to returning production for Arizona, they lose their their starting quarterback Khalil Tate, and he was a good quarterback last season. He wasn't great, but he had a decent amount of yards. He had just right around 2,000 yards of passing with 14 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So, certainly his touchdown interception ratio was not very good last season, but he also had just over 400 yards of rushing too with 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, he was a good quarterback overall. Very good. He's a dual threat as well, so that will be a tough loss there. They return their second quarterback in Grant Gunnell. I do expect him to take over pretty much full-time next season. He had just over 1,200 yards of offense with 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. So he had a good touchdown-interception ratio for sure. I mean, he only had 1 interception through basically 1,300 yards. So, yeah, Grant Gunnell, I do expect to start at the quarterback position for Arizona next season if he can stay healthy. It would not surprise me if he did, but they also lose their top running back in J.J. Taylor, which he had just over 1,000 yards last season with 5 touchdowns, and he's moving on to the NFL. So, yeah, Arizona does not have him next season. They do return their second running back in Gary Brightwell, though, and he had just right around 500 yards of offense last season with 6 touchdowns. So, yeah, you could expect him to be their top running back next season, and I think they'd just be fine with that. Of course, Gary Brightwell, he had plenty of experience through last season. They also returned their running backs Nathan Tilford and Bam Smith, in which both of those guys had 450 yards apiece. So, yeah, they got 3 really good running backs coming back. That's for sure. This running back core should be set and ready to go for 2020. They returned their top wide receiver in Jamari Joyner, which he had just over 550 yards last season with 5 touchdowns. And then they lose their second wide receiver in Cedric Peterson, which he had just right over 400 yards last season. So, yeah, the wide receiver position is, it's looking pretty good as well. You return your top receiver once again, Jamari Joyner, and you also return your third and fourth receivers in Cunningham and Castile, which both of those receivers had 400 yards apiece as well. So, yeah, lots of offensive players were involved last season. And of course, as you see, they have like 4 running backs that had action last season. They also have a good 4 receivers as well. So, yeah, Arizona's got plenty of experience going into 2020. I definitely think that they'll have the experience to improve if Grant Gunnell does well, in my opinion. Grant Gunnell, he looks like he's going to be a great quarterback once again. He had 1,200 yards last season. He played for a chunk of this season at least, but yeah, once again, if he can stay healthy, I definitely think Arizona and this offense do end up having a pretty good season. They do lose 1 on the offensive line, 1 linebacker, as well as 1 in the secondary. So this defense loses basically nothing. They only lose 2 on the defense as far as starters go. So, yeah, once again, the sky's the limit for Arizona this next season. I think this is a team that definitely could surprise a lot of people. Chances for a bowl season, I think, are pretty good. I think Arizona definitely has potential to do that. Once again, with all your returning production, I definitely think it's possible. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee. Once again, you did go 4-8 this past season, but yeah, Arizona, I do expect them to. I think they've got a chance. They definitely have a chance to surprise a lot of people and quite possibly make a bowl game in the process. Moving on to your schedule, you start off the season against Hawaii at home on August 29th, so you got a Week 0 matchup there. Then you got Portland State on the following week. That's going to be a home game. Then you got Stanford, of course, on the 12th. That's also a home game. Then you go to Texas Tech. So, September, honestly, it doesn't look terrible. Stanford, Portland State, and Hawaii are all pretty winnable games, in my opinion. Texas Tech could be a bit tougher because it's on the road. Then you got 2 UCLA on October 3rd. Then you got Colorado and USC at home. You got Washington on the road in Seattle. Then you got Oregon to finish off October. Then in November, you got 3 games. You got Utah, then you got a bye week, Oregon State and Corvallis, and then you got Arizona State to finish off the season at home. So overall, the schedule is not all that too difficult for Arizona. Of course, you do have to play USC, Oregon, and Utah. So you basically have to play 3 of your more tougher teams in the Pac-12. But the good thing is that you do have USC and Oregon at home. So you do get to play them with a home field advantage. So that certainly will be really helpful. But yeah, here's what I'm expecting. I'll only give you 2 guaranteed wins here. I'm not very confident that I can give you much more than that. I certainly consider putting Stanford as a guaranteed win too, just because Stanford was pretty terrible last season. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. I think Stanford is definitely a team that could cause some trouble for Arizona next season, just because I do expect them to improve as well. But yeah, Texas Tech, UCLA, both very winnable as well. Don't forget about those. Otherwise, I mean, your October is looking pretty difficult. Once again, Colorado, USC, Washington, and Oregon, all 4 of those games should be big challenges. As far as November goes, I mean, yeah, you still got a couple of good winnable games. I think Arizona State will be winnable. Oregon State will be winnable as well. So yeah, Arizona, I think, definitely has a good chance to make a bowl game next season. But once again, I'm trying to remember that, I mean, this team is 4-8 last season, so it's pretty tough to improve by 3 or 4 wins going into the next season. So I'm not gonna sell them too high. I think that they've got a good chance to make a bowl game once again, but I'm only giving them like a 1-3 shot. But yeah, nonetheless, that about wraps up our schedule preview on Arizona. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this schedule preview. Let me know your thoughts on Arizona in the comments below. Let me know whether you think they'll make a bowl game or not. But once again, thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. If you enjoyed the schedule preview, be sure to slap a like on it. Be sure to subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel, and I'd really appreciate that. But once again, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all later.